Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, Vincent LaRusso and I are going to be discussing the weather risks associated with going to an outdoor concert and whether or not we think Ticketmaster or the band owes anything back to the fans if a concert is canceled or postponed midway through. An interesting topic, no right or wrong answers on this one, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts and your feedback. Alrighty, lots to cover in this episode, so let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I have back with me my buddy,
Hello.
my partner in crime. I feel like I just left you, my friend. How you doing now, my friend?
I'm still doing good.
I'm glad to hear that. I told you I wanted to do an episode on an experience that I had this week at a concert. You know very little about it, but I'm really curious to hear your opinion because I think it's a great conversation. And to me, this is something that I would call you and just like talk to you about on the phone just to kind of get your opinion because it's an interesting situation. There's no right, wrong answers with here, but I'm really curious to hear your opinion on this. So you're going in cold on this conversation, I'm going to say. So this week I went to see the Foo Fighters on Wednesday night at Citi Field, right? And yes, it's a Foo Fighters concert that I'm talking about, but this could have been any band on any night. This is not about the Foo Fighters, right? So the Foo Fighters themselves normally play 2.5 to 3 hours in concert as the headline. We knew that day.
That's a long time.
Yeah, they really do a full show. And they had two opening acts that night at the show, Wolf Van Halen and the Pretenders. So the gates opened up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The show started at 6:30, I think, is when Wolf started, and then Pretenders, and then the Foo. You're getting a full night of music for your money, right? Like I said, they usually play 2.5 to 3 hours long. There were reports throughout the day that night a storm front was coming in. Yeah, I'll use a Billy Joel reference. A storm front was coming in there. It was a beautiful day in New York all day, absolutely gorgeous out. But there was this story that there might be a storm coming in, going through the New York area between 9 and 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday night. I looked at my app and I saw they were saying no rain until 11 o'clock at night. So I said, all right, hopefully we'll get through this concert. We go. I actually didn't make it in time to see either of the opening bands because I had to work that day. I actually get to my seats within a minute of the Foo Fighters starting. Okay. So which is fine with me, whatever. So I get in my seats, 8 o'clock. As they usually do, they go through their first 3, 4, 5 songs. There's no talking to the crowd. After the 4th, 5th song, Dave does address the crowd and commenting what a beautiful evening it is. A great night for rock and roll. And it was absolutely gorgeous out. But in the back of my mind was, there's supposed to be a storm tonight. And I turned to my daughter who's with me and I said, I hope he didn't jinx us. I swear on my life, that's exactly what I said. And my friends that are with me are watching the radar and they're like, it looks like there's a storm coming in here like 9:30 tonight. To the point that like 9 o'clock, they move out of their seats and they're like, we're going to go like undercover before it's too late. Well, at about 9:20, the Foo Fighters have been playing for about 80 minutes. You could see lightning's been flashing in the sky around for like the last 5-10 minutes. They come on stage and they say, we're being told we have to stop the show. We're going to try to get one more song in. And they jump to their encore, Everlong, which is usually the song that they close their show with. And they're trying to squeeze that in. They get about 30 seconds, 40 seconds into the song. They don't even make it into the first verse. And you see somebody walking out on stage and like, here it goes. And there's lightning all around or whatever. It's not raining, but there's lots of lightning. and they stopped the song, and they pulled the Foo Fighters off the stage, right? So at that point, Dave was like, sit tight. If we come back, we're going to. Don't go nowhere. It's not even raining yet, but like I said, there's tons of lightning all over the place. Well, within 5-10 minutes, it's pouring. I mean, pouring buckets out, and lightning all over. I mean, you could see, like, we're now in the concourse, but you can see lightning all over the place, right? So they clearly made the right decision from a safety point of view to stop the show. I'm not questioning that they should or shouldn't have stopped the show with all that lightning. It's not just rain. If it was rain, you play with the rain. But this is all this lightning. I mean, God forbid somebody ever gets struck. You know, somebody else would be owning Citi Field, and somebody else would be managing the Foo Fighters or owning the Foo Fighters for the rest of their life. My question to you, with some of those facts around us, and knowing that it was a beautiful day outside all day, but that the storm was predicted, do you think they should have even started the concert, or should the concert be postponed for another day?
Wow. I guess there's a lot of logistical things that are involved here, obviously.
Well, let me give you some more facts.
Okay.
They were playing Wednesday night, they were playing Friday night, they were off Thursday and keeping the stage set up because there's no baseball game or anything there. I'm not trying to lead the witness here. I'm just giving you all the facts.
Well, I mean, that's a big deal.
That's why,
honestly, if they're not, there's a Citi Field.
Yeah, Citi Field. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Mets aren't coming back, and they don't have to tear anything down, and it's just a day off for them. And all three, the other two bands are going to be playing with them on the Friday gig, right?
No, it's different opening acts on the Friday gig.
Well, still, what were they doing the next day? And quite honestly, are people there to really see the Pretenders and Wolf, or they're really there to see the Foo Fighters? Yeah. So what? So if one of the bands can't make it or whatever, you're there really as a Foo Fighter. That's,
I'm sure 95% of the people are there for the Foo Fighters. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, I think, I don't know a lot of the things that go on behind the scenes with logistics, like I said, and who's available and who has to be there, and insurance and
staffing for the whole event.
Who knows? Because right, you have to have the entire staff of the stadium be there the next day. I mean, contracts, this and that. From the outside looking in, you just logically say, well, why couldn't they just do it the next night? And when they knew it was going to be better weather. But I would like to believe that there were some technical logistical issues that they couldn't do that, and they rolled the dice. Now, my question is, this rain and it poured, for how long did this go on for, that people waited around until they finally said, okay, go home?
It was like 9:20, 9:25 at night when they pulled the Foo Fighters off the stage. And at 10:30, they made 10:15, they made an announcement that an announcement was forthcoming. And at 10:30, they said, sorry, the show is now over. It's canceled. Please go home. And the rain was letting up, and we were thankful at least that the rain was letting up, but there was still tons of lightning all over the place. I mean,
at that time.
Even though the rain was letting up, there was lightning. I mean, every 90 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds, the sky was lighting up, from lightning all over the place.
And that's the other thing. Is it that, like, a lot of venues after 11 o'clock, there's the union things, stuff like that. I probably got to a point of no return, where they just couldn't wait till midnight to say, all right, we're going back on the stage. Right. If you want to hang out for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, so be it. So, being it's the Foo Fighters, and being that, from the outside looking in, the way Dave Grohl is and his work ethic, we all know when he broke his leg, or did he break his leg? He sat in a chair and he did all this. Exactly. There's money to be made. You have to do what you have to do. Yep. Part of me says, well, he's, it's courageous. I mean, look, I'm not going to not give him credit for that, but you have a lot of responsibility there and a lot of money on the line, so. Yep. But that, my point being, leads me to believe that, there was a really good reason why. And was there ever any, press release or something to comment on why they, didn't do something the next day? Or was there any, we'll give you, I don't know if you could do this, like credit to another Foo Fighters show?
So that's some of the things I wanted to ask you about, but let's do one at a time, right? So at first I was like, why didn't they just postpone the show and put it on the next day? But then when I thought about it, I'm like, well, they might not have a full staff of people ready to go the next day, right? So all of those people that work in the stadium, from the concessions to the ushers to the security people, they have the day off the next day, right? They have their schedule already known, right? There's no game there. even if 70% of those people could come in the next day, it's not enough to handle a crowd of 50, 60,000 people, you know?
Right.
Logistically, I just don't know if you could pull that off with 24 hours notice. You know, we're not talking about a club show here with only a couple of people. We're talking about an enormous stadium show with a lot of people working. I'm not talking about the people who work for the Foo Fighters. I'm not talking about the opening bands. I'm talking about the stadium and the city employees. I just don't know that you could pull that off in 24 hours to get everybody in the next day, as much as I would have loved it.
How does the stadium make money for the second day and pay those employees too? They you got to figure just common
It's a great
sense. When a
point. Right.
band,
Now you got to pay these people for 2 days instead of one.
right, is the Foo Fighters going to say, all right, we'll give you money again to pay for these
Yeah.
people? When they have a contract with the band, right? They're going to get paid by the organization of the band, right? They're going to
Yep.
get money from the concessions, right?
Yep.
But they're not doing it as charity work. So if they're going to do it the next day again, then the band has to have some sort of contract that, okay, we're going to pay these people again. So
Right.
it might be too much. Look, we know Foo Fighters have a ton of money. It's not
Right.
about
It's
money,
not about
but
the
it
money,
might just,
right.
but who
It's
knows?
probably not enough
Logistically.
time to pull off contracts like that, unless you have something embedded in the contract previously.
Right.
That says if Wednesdays are rain out, Thursday is the backup day, and you have workers on call. And look, in hindsight, maybe that's what they should do. But the tickets do say rain or shine, right?
And
So
that's
if it
why they
was
say
just
that.
rain, right? If it was just rain, this concert was going on, and we would get soaking wet, and we'd have a memory of standing in the pouring rain. It was that the lightning just made it where it became dangerous for people, you know, to stay there. You brought up the fact of refunds, and I've seen people online say that, and I've gone back and forth on this one. And they played 80 minutes. Think about some of the headlining artists that you see. They only play an hour and a half usually, and sometimes, you know, 80 minutes is not a short. It's not like they only play 15 minutes. Do you think they should have given, at the bare minimum, a partial refund for those tickets? You got both opening acts, but like you said, you're not there to see the opening acts.
Well, you know the Foo Fighters do a 2.5, 3 hour show, right?
Yep.
That's what you're going expected to see. So my answer to that is that you should be refunded some money because that's not the show you paid for.
Yeah.
Now, logistically, how they pull that off, I have no idea, but you know.
Yeah. I kind of, at first I was like, no, you can't expect that. But as the last couple of days went back, I'm like, yeah, you know what? And look, I've seen the Foo Fighters 5 or 6 times. I'm not losing sleep over not having seen Monkey Wrench or Best of You or Everlong. I mean, I've seen them for those songs multiple times. But there was a part of me that's like, well, you know, part of what I enjoy about going to a Foo Fighters show is they do play 2.5, 3 hours. And and I know that going in, I got half a show only, you know.
Right.
I don't want to sound entitled, of course, that I don't mean it that way, but I didn't get what I paid for. And I don't blame the Foo Fighters for that at all. You know, I can't be any more clear. They made the right decision pulling that band off the stage, and it wasn't the band's decision. I don't know what the right answer is in this, something like this. Like I said, I've gone kind of back and forth. I'm curious when people are watching and listening, what they will say. I think most people are going to say, yeah, you should get your money back. You didn't get what you paid for. I got an 80-minute performance. I mean, I've gone to see Kiss at times where they only performed the Crazy Nights tour. Kiss performed for 85 minutes. I got an 80-minute performance. I don't know. The one thing I will criticize the Foo Fighters about on this is, like I said, they play 2.5, 3 hours. About halfway through the set, they do a 8 to 10 minute segment of their show where Dave introduces all the members of the band. And when they get to each member, they perform like usually 60, 90 seconds of a cover tune that highlights that member's instrument. And to me, it's fun. Like one time, I think in 2018, when I saw them at Jones Beach, they were introducing the bass player, and he starts playing the bass line of You're the One That I Want from Grease, right? And John Travolta actually walked out and sang the first verse with them, you know,
cool.
Which was a surprise. You know, it's a fun part, you know. When they introduce Pat Smear, they do like a Ramones cover. So it's like a minute of each song, a minute and a half. It's a fun, laid back part of the show. But it's not necessary. But it's fun. When you're doing 3 hours, I don't mind 5, 10 minutes of that.
Right.
About 10 minutes before the show was pulled, they went through this whole solo part. And I thought to myself afterwards, well, you knew a storm was coming in. Maybe you moved that not into the middle of the show. Maybe you moved that to the last third of the show on this night. This way, if a storm does come in and you do have to get pulled off stage, that's one of the things that would miss out on the night. And maybe you drop in
Mm.
that spot a Monkey Wrench or Best of You instead. You kind of just shuffle the sequence a little bit for the night. I'm a huge Dave Grohl supporter, a huge fan of him. I think him, you mentioned before, falling off the stage, breaking his legs, still performing. I don't know any other artist I could think of that would have done that night, because he didn't just go back on stage and perform a few songs. He performed for a 2.5 hour concert after he fell off the stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody. I mean, he could have done that for a half hour and people would have been like, oh, that was cool of him. Two and a
Right.
half hours on a broken leg before you get to the hospital. I have nothing but respect for him. But on Wednesday night, I was like, yeah, you should have mixed up that sequence a little bit so that you're doing some of your hits and
Yeah.
leaving that for the back end. But
Unless it's a computer sequence, lighting, and it's hard to just move those things around because everything is so, it's a production,
it
and they don't
is.
have those are not movable parts. I don't know. I'm speculating
I,
here.
I don't think so. I mean, that they're usually pretty loose in concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they wanted to pivot, when they knew they were being pulled off stage, bang, they instantly went into Everlong, So
That's a good point. That's a
so
good point.
they did, pivot right away. I think they could have. I think they should have, quite honestly. That's the
Right.
only criticism I'll say. It's a minor thing. Again, somebody who's seen the Foo Fighters 5, 6 times, but this is not about the Foo Fighters. This is just about
Yeah.
what should artists do in situations like that. You have people traveling from other states, even from other countries sometimes, to see these shows. And I know some people were flying back the next day. I think they were like, let's try to get this in. Like I said, my weather app said the rain was coming in at 11 o'clock. So I think their hope was, let's try to get this in. But I was glad you brought up the stuff with the workers in the stadium and all of that, because so many people online I saw saying they should have just played the next night. This is so inconsiderate. People need to think about the logistics of pulling off a show in front of 60,
Mm-hmm.
70,000 people. This is
Yeah.
not just Dave showing up the next day and say, I'll perform on Thursday instead of
Yeah.
Wednesday. It's not that easy.
Right. It's not like getting a crew at Lemore's. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Now let me ask you, so you asked me, how long they made us wait. If you're in that situation, and I'm not saying the Foo Fighters, I'm saying any band that you like, how long do you wait until you say, I don't care, they haven't made an announcement yet, I'm out of here?
me, patience, man, standing around.
A lack of
Not like
patience,
you.
man.
I do at least the hour, 2 hours.
Mhm.
I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Fucking out of here.
Yeah.
I'll play the fucking album in my car.
My friends that I was with, and God bless them, they came to Queens and they live in Jersey. As soon as it started raining, they were like, I think we're going to leave. And then they ended up hanging out with us because we were enjoying just hanging out. But their first thought was, I got a long ride back to Jersey. I'm going to leave. I kept falling back on, if they can come back on stage, Dave will come back out and perform. And if Kiss was in this situation, and God knows we love Kiss, I think Kiss would pick up their set list right where they left off, finish the show, be gone. I was like, if we have to wait around for 2 hours for them to come back on, Dave will probably play for 3 hours at that point, because that's just what he won't care about, the curfew rules, and he won't care about the fines. He'll just keep playing, because I think that's just the type of performer he is. So I was saying to my wife and my daughter, look, if you guys want to leave, take the car and I'll take the train home. I'll figure out my way. Wow. My wife was like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, no, I just think if he comes back on stage, this is going to be an epic night that you'll never forget. I can't turn my back on that. And then they were like around 20 after 10, 10:30. I think my wife was like, all right, yeah, what's going on here? Is it time to go? And then they made the announcement, and all three of us left at once, thankfully, because I would have been pissed if they took the car. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, God damn it, I gotta take the train. But it's an interesting situation to be in when you have these outdoor shows. And I don't know what the right or wrong answer is. I'm really curious to see what other people think. But I want these people, I don't want you to just think as a fan. Because as a fan, we all say, they should have just played on Thursday. I could have gone Thursday night. It would have been nice and easy. I would have seen a great show. But think about all the logistics that are involved in pulling off and bringing all these people in another day. And you brought up a great point. Now you got to pay for these people twice. Yeah. What do you, as a fan, think the right answer here is? Being fair to all sides. I'm really curious to see what people say, because there's so many opinions on this online this week. And again, this is not about the Foo Fighters. This could have happened to friggin' Lady Gaga. This could have happened to Metallica. This can happen to any artist that's performing in a stadium. If there's any artist that I thought would do something cool, it's the Foo Fighters. So this is not about the Foo Fighters. But what do you think bands should do in situations like this. I'm curious to see the different opinions and all of that. And but be realistic. That's my only thing here. Be realistic. Do you think that they should have given partial refunds? I think there's a case that can be made for that. How they would do that, I don't know.
Yeah, what would be exactly. That's what I was just gonna say.
Do you give somebody maybe not a refund? Do you give them a $50 credit on Ticketmaster if you purchase the ticket? I don't know. I'm looking for people to kind of spitball different ideas on this. Or do you think, hey, that's the risk you take when you go to an outdoor show, and it could be where that's what happens. Show gets canceled halfway through. I'm really curious what other people think. Do you have any other thoughts on this topic, my friend?
No, I think I covered basically how I feel about it and why I think it could or could not happen, as far as rescheduling, refunds, all this other stuff.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what other people say. Again, don't make this about the Foo Fighters or whatever. Make it about you're there seeing your favorite band. What do you think would be the right thing to do? All right, my friend. On that note, I think we out of here. You're always nervous. You're like,
what are you gonna pull out?
What is he gonna do?
What are you gonna pull out?
We'll do double. I'm gonna go double Ringo for a while on you, so I can take down your nervousness. Okay.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody. Thanks for watching. As always, talk to you soon.
Take care.
Alrighty, there you have it. We'd like to hear your thoughts and your comments on this subject. Using the Foo Fighters concert as an example, what do you think? Do you think they should have postponed the show? Do you think fans are entitled to a partial refund? A full refund? Do you have other thoughts, other comments? We'd love to hear them. Of course, there's no right or wrong answers in this situation, and all opinions are welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.